Our mission is to transform faith into works that transform lives. And in our mission field, the United States and Puerto Rico, the third largest mission field on the planet, there's plenty of opportunity for transforming lives. On the doorsteps of our schools and churches, people need our help and hope. In the early morning hours of August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina makes landfall on the Gulf Coast of the United States. A Category 3 hurricane, Katrina has sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. The ruin is swift, wide, and merciless. But Katrina is only part of the disaster. 3 weeks later, Hurricane Rita refloods much of the same area. And in the ensuing months and years, residents of the Gulf Coast struggle against bureaucracy and mismanagement to rebuild their lives. Perhaps no American tragedy better illustrates the transforming power of National Ministry's home mission than the response to the devastation wrought by these two hurricanes.
We, as National Ministries, as American Baptist Volunteers, were there before some of the federal agencies were there. We had volunteers who were there as first responders who came in and cleaned the roads, which enabled FEMA to come in to get there and get their services in place. So we were on the ground, hours after the storm. And we continue to be on the ground in various areas across the Gulf Coast.
Working with Habitat for Humanity, more than 220 volunteers from American Baptist churches across the country converge in Baton Rouge in 2007. National Ministries' Volunteers in Mission program coordinates the volunteer workers, and the support National Ministry contributes to Gulf Coast rebuilding reaches about $500,000. Vittorio Aversa made the trip from St. Paul Baptist Church in Montclair, New Jersey.
I realized then that God had placed me in the role of the Good Samaritan to help build a shelter from the storm for those in need. This was a labor of love, not merely simply building a house. I was working with an army sent to rebuild the walls. The memory of knowing that I helped someone in need will remain with me always.
For 2 weeks, volunteers hammered, sawed, and drilled. They called it the Blitz Build.
As an example of how National Ministries has been able to help transform lives and community is during the Blitz Build that we were a part of in April and May of 2007. In Baton Rouge, we helped to build 12 homes in 12 days. We as American Baptists sent about 200 volunteers to the Blitz Build, and to see that many volunteers come into that depressed neighborhood, I believe is going to revitalize that neighborhood. While there and building, many of the homeowners of existing homes came out and watched as we built. I'm sure they were kind of skeptical, this influx of volunteers coming in, building these new homes, but they were there. Every day they watched as we built. And every day they would get a little closer to the built site. They would get a little more interested. They would come over and they would interact with the volunteers, asking, what were we doing? Why were we here? And how can they be a part of building? So I think that is a unique way in which National Ministries was very instrumental in helping to transform a community. I believe in my heart that, as we return to that community in the future, that we will see a difference in that community by building those homes there.
It wasn't just a community that was transformed. It was individuals.
I can think of several families who were recipients of those homes. One in particular was raising her grandchildren. As is happening in many families these days, parents are needing to raise their grandchildren. And this particular grandmom wanted a safe home for her grandchildren. They were displaced by the waters of Hurricane Katrina from New Orleans and have decided to permanently relocate in Baton Rouge. And her goal was to have a safe neighborhood where she can raise these grandchildren, where they can come out of their back door and have a little yard that they can play in, but it's their yard, it's their home. So National Ministries was, in my opinion, very instrumental in transforming that life and the lives for generations to come.
A dozen families now have houses, no, homes, built by American Baptist volunteers. Across the country, in your neighborhood and on your doorstep, National Ministries American Baptist Churches USA is working to fulfill its mission of evangelism, leadership, and social justice. Please help us continue this work by contributing to the America for Christ offering. Your dollars will help us all preach and live the gospel. Thank you, and God bless.